Um, how connected is the sort of, are the people in the cities who are doing pretty well to the countryside? Are there family ties, or are there ways in which there's a sort of moat between, in terms of, I mean, it's one thing to say people people in the country are hungry, or people in the country aren't doing it very well. It's another thing to say my grandma's not doing very well, my cousins aren't doing very well.
Yeah.
What's that picture like?
Yeah, another really good question. So, Botswana historically has very strong urban to rural ties. It was a mostly rural country at independence in 1966. It's also a small country. Today it only has 2 million people, okay, and in a country the size of Texas. So I think Botswana and Mongolia are the two least densely populated countries in the world. So urbanization is definitely a post-colonial phenomenon, but it is a very rapidly urbanizing place. Today it is 60% urban, when it was almost 0% urban at independence. So most people who live in the city today, either spent part of their childhood in a rural area or definitely have relatives who still live in a rural community or in the village. And if you walk up and talk to any Botswana, that's a citizen of Botswana, they even if they spent their entire life in Gaborone, the capital city, they will tell you that they're from a particular village. There's that sense of identity. Curiously, though, in spite of those strong connections, there is a very strong rural-urban divide, in the sense that a lot of the poverty is rural in nature, and a lot of the wealth is concentrated in urban areas. And I think that's somewhat an artifact of the particular pattern of development that we've seen. So diamond wealth, this is what provides the government with most of its revenue, a lot of the infrastructure. While they've developed infrastructure in rural areas, a lot of that infrastructure is concentrated in urban areas, and that's where a lot of the civil service jobs are. So the highest paying jobs tend to be in the city, so that's where we see a lot of that wealth concentrated. And there is some, there are wealth transfers. People send money back to rural areas. What we see a lot of is people building homes in rural areas because that's where they want to retire, or most wealthy people will have a herd of cattle, and so wealth tends to be banked in the form of cattle, and then that cattle is kept in rural areas where it's tended by livestock